Did meaning have a radar or a check mark for you at that time when it came to work? Or did it come later? Or was it there all along and you've just been following a red thread towards it?
Work had a meaning for me, and the meaning was to express my artistic talents. So I worked in publicity also. I'd taken an internship at a large media company, and it was in their film department. And the way that I got the job, it was a paid internship during college. And the way that I got the job is I showed them a short film that I shot and edited. I was actually quite a good camera person and editor, and this was before, like, we're talking on Avid machines and, no smartphone in sight. So it was a very arduous process. And I put together a short film that I had shot while doing work for Habitat for Humanity. And so I think I always had this real kind of socially aware, involved attitude, and I wanted to really make a splash creatively. So for me, it was about shining light. I was very passionate about my background. I was very passionate about giving voice to maybe groups that I didn't feel like had voices, or using my creativity and my point of view as a way to open doors into other experiences of other people who I felt, especially, and this is true, I think, all over the world, but, we can all be living right next door to each other and almost living in parallel universes, depending on what your income is and your background, your ethnicity, just you can, all the different ways you can slice a society. And so it was partly ego, because it was a very coveted job, I came to find out later, but it was more like it was the grind. I think that's what it meant to me. I think work meant grinding. I think that it meant give every ounce of yourself in order to succeed. And success, for me at that time, was being known as the best. And so I always had this little gallery on my shoulder telling me, oh, you're not on the cover of the magazine yet, you better get there by 25, or you're not this yet, like I had this and I legit had a quarter life crisis, like for real. And over time, what began to fall away was the need for outside validation, because I found that even though I succeeded in some pretty competitive areas where a lot of people would have loved to have gotten the traction that I had started to get, what I started to discover early on is that it wasn't making me happy, because it was about my ego's bottomless pit need for validation. And what I started to see is that it didn't matter how sexy the job was. It didn't matter how hard I grinded or relaxed. I never really did relax, because I was never able to really enjoy something that could never be filled. It didn't matter how hard I worked, because I would never fill that emptiness in myself that said that if you're not good enough yet, if only this. And so for me, work, my relationship with work really began to shift as I started to do a lot of work around myself, my true self-confidence, not my bravado, not my assurance, which I'm very self-assured naturally, but a kind of confidence that lay in, it really doesn't matter, what the label is or what the title is, or if someone thinks this job was sexier than the other job, or you're more well-known doing this and you're not doing that. Like, none of that matters. What matters is, do I feel as if I'm living my purpose here on earth? And it's funny, because as I've gotten older, I've realized that it really doesn't matter as much the vehicle of the job so much as it matters the engine. And only I know the makings of my engine and what fuels that. And so the vehicle can be a lot of different things. And if I'm lucky, it will continue to be a lot of different things, because there's so much that we can do. And for some people, they know their thing early on, and they do it, and they do that one thing well. There are people who are built like that. And then there are other people who are maybe more like me, who are interdisciplinary, and they kind of, their brain works through work by working out different things. And that's cool too, because the engine for me doesn't change.